I don't know why, but this setup makes me feel like a psychiatrist. Like, step into my office and tell me all of your problems. So today I want to talk about the importance of names and titles. So I've been wanting to kind of share this for some time now, but current events this week made it even more important that I talk about it, or like really just brought it to the front of my mind. Which this week, if you aren't aware, some hater who probably applied numerous times to the doctoral program and could not get in said that Dr. Jill Biden should go by Mrs. because she is not a real doctor. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Dr. Jill Biden, she is the wife of President-elect Joe Biden, and she has a doctorate of education, an EDD, which means that she went to school, conducted research, and wrote a dissertation based off of her research and contributed new knowledge, because that is what you need to do in order to get a doctoral degree. And there was a Wall Street Journal op-ed written by a guy whose name that is irrelevant, and he essentially said that she shouldn't go by doctor, she should drop it, because calling herself doctor is, I think he stopped short of calling it fraudulent, but he basically was just implying that people with doctoral degrees, but the kind of way he was saying it was that women with doctoral degrees are not real doctors. So why I bring that up is because I have always had an interesting relationship with what people call me, my name and what people call me. And this has stemmed from a really young age, and I think has now evolved in a different way now that I am a doctor. I'm gonna tell two different stories. Let me tell my title story first, which is, since I became a doctor, since I got my PhD, I recognize that I do this thing sometimes where someone will be like, Dr. Ijeoma Kola. I'm like, and it's okay, you can just call me Ijeoma. And like that shrinking and that not accepting of that, not accepting of that title, but not wanting to bring attention to that title, it comes from a place of me wanting to not give off a sentiment of like feeling like I'm better than anyone. And this is something that I've struggled with for a while. I think it's probably because I like went to a really like all white high school essentially, and so I always just like wanted to fit in, and so I don't want to bring attention to anything that others me from a group and from a situation. And so even when I went to undergrad, I went to Harvard for undergrad, if people, and this kind of still happens today, if people ask me like, oh, where'd you go to college, rather than saying I went to Harvard, I'll say that I went to school in Boston. Once I say that I went to Harvard, we're like, oh my gosh, like blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it's really just not that serious. Like, I'm still the same exact person, right? So anyway, so that, I think that kind of sentiment has continued in like post PhD, and that people will be like, she's a doctor. Or like if I'm with someone and one of my friends are like, oh, she's a doctor, I'm like, oh, no, like it's okay. But that was like the old me like 3 months ago. Recently, I've been heavily leaning into the fact that I am a doctor and asking people to call me, refer to me as Dr. Ijeoma Kola, and referring to myself when I write about myself places as Dr. Ijeoma Kola. Like my email signatures are now Dr. Ijeoma Kola. Actually, my personal one is, and the cohort sisters one is, but I need to change the Safe Journey Media one, which is my company that like houses ijeomakola.com and all my socials and stuff. That I need to change my email signature on that to say Dr. Ijeoma Kola. But a couple of weeks ago, my parents, as all good African parents do, they don't ever call me Mrs. Jonathan Kola, which I hate so much. Oh my gosh, I attended a Zoom wedding yesterday, and like right after the bride and groom, like right after like the wedding was finalized, you know, people in the comments were like, welcome to the family, Mrs. the guy's name, and that's so annoying. You're like, no, she has a whole name. I digress. My parents never did that, but they do sometimes, or they did before I was like, they did sometimes say Mrs. Ijeoma Kola or Dr. Mrs. Ijeoma Kola. And I woke up one day and I was like, listen, no one, like Dr. Mrs. is not a title. It's just not a title. There is no such thing as Dr. Mrs. It's just doctor. Like no one ever says Dr. Mister. I remember my dad's face, we're on FaceTime, and he was like, Dr. Mrs. And I was like, it's just Dr. Dad. And he was like, okay, doctor. So I have like, I don't know, I've really been leaning into like this doctor title. And yeah, I think that especially as women of color, we feel like we're boasting if we use our titles, right? But we're not boasting, like we have earned the title. There is no man who does not go around referring to himself as doctor. Like they've earned that, so they say doctor. Or but in Nigeria, people have there are all sorts of titles. There's chief, there's engineer, there's barista, this person and this person. So but people have mad, like men have mad titles, and they will use those titles, but so often women are either stripped of their titles, just disrespectful, or even worse, just referred to by their husbands, which are like, hello, like I'm a person. I existed before him. I will exist after him. I exist without him. I exist with him. Like, why am I now, why would I ever be Mrs. Jonathan Kola as if I don't have a name that I was given? Which brings me to my other point, which is the importance of names. I am so big on names. My name is a really big part of my identity. It's also a really big part of my life because like I have a personal brand built around my name. Oh, and I probably should touch on changing the last name. The last name change debate, which I'll touch on that briefly. So, although I've written a blog post about it, but I'll touch on it for the purposes of this video since we're just talking about names in general. But let me backtrack. So you guys know that I grew up in the US. I was born in Nigeria, but I moved to the US when I was 2. So I grew up in an American culture, but I was raised by very Nigerian parents. My first name is Ijeoma. I have an American middle name. My middle name is Beatrice. I'm named after my aunt. Not American, in English. Let me say it in English. It's Beatrice. It actually might be Spanish. It's a non-African middle name, right? But I didn't really like Beatrice. Beatrice, that's not really a cute name, like when you're, I don't know, 6 or in kindergarten, 1st grade. So I went by EJ. I went by EJ from, wow, until college, really. Through college, I was EJ. I did write my name often as Ijeoma on, you know, documents, whatever. But, and I think my first email address was ibo.ijeoma@gmail.com. Not my first, but like my first one that used my name. But I would go by EJ. People would call me EJ. It really just stemmed from the fact like, yo, every single time in class, people are doing attendance and they're like, I can't pronounce that, or I don't want to mess this up. And it just got really annoying. I mean, now I recognize as an adult, I recognize that people are 1, lazy, 2, scared, but really just lazy. 7, 8, 9-year-old me did not have the intuition to, or the confidence to be like, oh, actually it's pronounced Ijeoma, and so you guys should all say Ijeoma because that's what it is. So I just said, oh, it's okay, like EJ, I'm present, you can say EJ, etc. So all my life, not all my life, all my childhood in school, I went by EJ. And EJ was a nickname that it's one of the common nicknames for the name Ijeoma. Another nickname, sidebar, is IJ, which I don't like. So please, oh my gosh, whenever people comment on my Instagram and they say IJ, I'm like, first of all, you don't even know me, so we're not on a nickname basis. Secondly, I hate IJ so much. And I hate IJ because, and I'm sorry if like any Ijeomas who are watching go by IJ, that's your own prerogative. I just feel like it doesn't make sense to me. The name is Ijeoma, so Ijeoma. How did we go from Ijeoma to IJ as the like abbreviation, as the nickname? I don't understand. Also, I had an uncle who was really annoying who referred to me as IJ, so that's really all where that stems from. I digress. So I went by EJ for most of my childhood, and a lot of people who've known me any time like before college or college and before know me as EJ. Even some grad school people know me as EJ. But as soon as I graduated college, I had this come to Jesus moment, and it really was built out of defiance. So the year after I graduated from college in maybe 2 years after, in 2013 or 14, I cannot remember when I went and visited this man. But the first time I came to Kenya to visit Jonathan, I decided I was gonna go, so I bought a ticket. And I did what I thought was the responsible thing. I told my parents like 4 months, 3-4 months in advance. I think I told them around March, and maybe Easter-ish, maybe March, April, that I was going, and I was leaving in August. So I was like, I gave y'all plenty of notice. I'm not telling you the day before. And it was just a huge thing. They were like, you can't go, blah, 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 blah. More details about that are in, I think they're in a blog post, so you can go find it. But I was really confident. I wasn't necessarily confident like that I was supposed to be with Jonathan at that point. You know, we had only been dating for a year then. No, 2 years, the second year of it being long distance. But I was confident that I was supposed to be taking this trip. And why I was confident in this, not that I was supposed to be taking it, but that I could take it. One argument that they had was that it's culturally inappropriate for a woman to visit a man, like whatever. the other argument was that it wasn't safe. So at the time, Kenya had just, it was shortly after the Garissa attacks, so they just said it wasn't safe for me to be traveling. And I kind of like had this moment where I was like, my name literally means travel safely. So how is it possible for me to not travel safely? And if you're not a religious person, then the rest of this like probably won't make any sense to you. But I also really felt strongly like, if we have faith, if we say that we have faith, then we cannot be operating in fear. Like, we can't say you're not gonna go somewhere because we're afraid of something that might or might not happen. And that doesn't mean that we do stupid things, but it just means that we don't limit our lives, that we don't sit down somewhere and like never leave the house because of fear. Now, the way that came out, I recognize that I'm sure someone, this is probably the same argument that like COVID deniers use, but that's science. Like, that's actually just science. It's a completely different thing. But yeah, so I really felt like I can go, and I am supposed to go, and I will go, and it's gonna be fine, and I'm gonna be safe, because that is literally in the name that you guys gave me. And so in that moment, that summer is when I decided. It was actually, it was 2013, because yeah, this is why some people in grad school called me EJ. Like one of my advisors still calls me EJ, but I started that summer being like, yo, henceforth, my name is Ijeoma, please call me Ijeoma. Okay, and the reasoning for that was so that people could, every time they said my name, every time they say, hey Ijeoma, they are affirming to me that I can travel safely. They are affirming to me that I should journey well. They are affirming to me that I should go well, because that's what my name means. And so to further reify that for myself and make it so that I would never forget that, I actually got a tattoo that says safe journey. And I don't think I've actually ever shown it. I don't hide it. Also a funny story of how my parents found out about it. Does my dad know? Well, now he does. No, he's not watching this. My dad has to know, because my mom knows. My dad has to know. But let me show you. I think, I'm trying to really think of where my mom, I think she might have seen it when we were wedding dress shopping. Anyway, so it's right here. It's like, it's underneath the bra line, because it's not really for public display. It's for myself. Although now I think about it, I could have done a mirror image. That would have been really cool. But let me show you. Woo. Okay, ignore the boob. But yeah, it just says safe journey, and underneath the J, it's hard to see, but that says ER 29:11, which is for Jeremiah 29:11, which is my favorite Bible verse and my really guiding Bible verse. And so all this happened that summer. I got the tattoo. It was also funny, Jonathan was, this is a whole nother separate story. Jonathan was like anti me getting the tattoo, and I was like, bruh, you don't owe me, you are just my boyfriend, and even if you were my husband, it's my body, so I'm gonna do whatever I want to it. So yeah, so I got this tattoo, just reminding myself of what my name means. And I started asking people to call me Ijeoma. And now, like, I am, as I said earlier, like, I am pretty particular about people calling me Ijeoma and not EJ. Like, if you don't know me, if we've never met, then I'm not EJ to you. I'm not it. I'm not EJ. I'm definitely not IJ, but I'm not EJ. Like, my name is Ijeoma. I do think that nicknames are a privilege that are granted with familiarity. So yes, there are people in my life who call me EJ. Lots of people, Jonathan calls me EJ. My parents, my brothers call me EJ. A lot of my close friends call me EJ. But if I meet someone on the street, I will introduce myself as Ijeoma. Also, what's funny is sometimes my friends will introduce me as EJ, and I'll be like, actually I'm Ijeoma. And people, I'm sure people are confused, but I'm like, you don't know me, so I'm Ijeoma to you. And now it's about to be, actually I'm Dr. Ijeoma. Okay, not in social situations, but actually I was thinking, like, should I change my Instagram to Dr. Ijeoma Kola? But then I have to change my website to Dr. Ijeoma Kola, so I'm not gonna do all of that. But I definitely just need to be more proud. It's not even proud, it's just a fact. I have a PhD, I'm a doctor. Like, own it. Like, I just need to like own it and not shy away from it, because I worked for that the same way that Dr. Jill Biden worked for hers. Like, we shouldn't ever feel like we can't represent ourselves with our titles, because that is, we have earned those. We have earned them, and we should include them in the way that we introduce and address ourselves. So yeah, that is my name story /name/title story. I feel like I was gonna say something really quickly about changing last names, so let me address that real quick. So changing last names, oh man. The main reason I changed my last name when I got married was so that our entire family could have one last name. That is really all there was to it. The secondary reason why I was comfortable with it was because I have brothers, and so my former last name, my maiden name, is not going to like die out. I have two brothers who, one of them already has kids, so like the name isn't going anywhere, right? So I felt comfortable letting go of my maiden name so all of us could have one family name. I didn't like the idea of a hyphenated name because Ibo Kola, I just felt like our kids would be called Ebola at school. I think we got married in 2017, so Ebola was still like very much a current event and a news topic, so that was at the top of my mind. I was like, I can't do Ibo Kola. These poor children will just be called Ebola for the rest of their lives, and I'm not gonna do that to my kids. I'm just not gonna do that to them. So that's why we didn't hyphenate. That's why I didn't hyphenate. And then what are the other options? Yeah, keeping your name. I didn't want to do that because I wanted the family to have the same name. Hyphenating, didn't want to do that because of Ebola. So I decided to change my last name. The other consideration, which a lot of people ask me from an academic standpoint, from a professional standpoint, was that I didn't have any first authored publications as Ijeoma Ibo. I have a second authored publication under that name, but that publication also isn't directly related to my dissertation topic, which is what I will be publishing like most of my early scholarship on. So I was okay with the idea of like someone searching my name in like our research capacity and not coming across that paper. That's why I decided to change my name. That's really all it boils down to, but I fully believe that everyone should do whatever they think is best for them, as long as it is you making the decision. No, maybe sort of with your partner, but like really it's about like you. I think it's a personal decision, so everyone should do what's best for them. So yeah, thank you for listening to my story time about names and titles and last names and all that stuff. I'd love to know your thoughts about going by doctor versus not going by doctor. I would love to know your thoughts on this Dr. Mrs. idea and the Mrs. husband's name, because that drives me insane. So thanks so much guys for watching. Oh, and if you have a nickname that you went by but no longer go by, I would love to know what that is too, and the kind of little story behind it. So yeah, thanks so much for watching guys. See you guys next time. Bye.